Joining me right now, talking about his campaign for Railroad Commissioner, it's Wayne Christian. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Chad. Honored to be with you today.
Well, always glad to have you on the show. It's you're in a race that, well, every single race has been covered up by the presidential back and forth and everything going on there. But this is a very important race for people to get out and absolutely vote for.
It definitely is, and people don't realize across the state. Now, in your part of the world, I believe the Permian Basin, the Apache find of 50 million barrels, other things are just dramatically important to your part of the world. Across the state, a lot of people don't realize that. And we, with the administration potentially in Washington, if Hillary does win, and even if she doesn't, the EPA and the Sierra Club and all the tree-hugging, lizard-loving folks of the world want to shut down oil and gas production in this country. And we're about to take the place of OPEC with the Texas Railroad Commission in controlling oil and gas on the planet. So it's a very important election. This seat is important because we need to defend the oil, gas, and coal industry in the state of Texas, and that's why I'm running.
Wayne, I want to give you a chance to defend yourself a little bit because your main opponent, and this is another reason why this race is interesting. Your main opponent in this is a libertarian who's running ads on across radio and I'm sure on TV as well. And he's won some major newspaper endorsements, and he's saying that you're not good enough. And the Democrat, who has raised no money in this race, it seems, that the Democrat's not good enough. I think the majority of the money that the Libertarian has raised in this came from the mayor of Austin. He says you're not good enough. The Democrat's not good enough. It's time for the Libertarian to get in there. And there were major newspapers across the state who endorsed him. Why is he and the newspapers wrong?
Well, the one thing is I'm very proud that I've not received the major newspaper endorsements. Fact is, almost every statewide candidate that has won an election does not receive a majority of the liberal newspaper's agenda. The liberal newspaper agenda and the academic leadership in most of our country has caused a complete distortion of what the oil, gas, and coal industry is about, our cleanliness, our contribution positively to the environment. And so I don't really cry over loss of many of the newspaper endorsements. Now, there's been some great newspapers across the state that have endorsed me. But again, my opponent at the Libertarians, a fine gentleman, he is a former academic, a professor, and if you like Barack Obama's professors who are controlling the nation, you'll love a professor and his academic mindset running the Texas Railroad Commission.
Wayne, what do you bring to the Railroad Commission?
Experience, proven. I've been on the Energy Committee. I have oversaw the Railroad Commission for about 14 years on both state affairs, the Energy Committee, regulated industry, and I have a proven record that the oil and gas industry and voter can look at in, number one, protecting and preventing waste, and protecting the public and protecting correlative rights, which are the landowners that are constantly disputing whether you have rights to put pipelines here or there, or what are the rights of the people. I've done that. I've been there, and I think my experience proves, as no other candidate in this race has.
How much education does obviously, as you know, as a candidate, there are a lot of people who have no idea what the Railroad Commission does. They don't know what a railroad commissioner is. They have no clue about it. How much education does there need to be? And I know it's popped up, I think, from time to time in this race of changing the name of the Railroad Commission. Is that something that is useful? Is that something that needs to be entertained?
Thought of, investigated, looked at, perhaps. Done right now? No way. With the industry in a downturn, we don't have the extra dollars that state government or the Railroad Commission at its place. It needs to improve its personnel are being underpaid in the Railroad Commission. We're losing good personnel because we're paying less than other agencies of government. And a business, government, your organization is only as good as your personnel. So I think we don't need to waste $700,000+ in renaming the thing. Secondly, we're about to replace OPEC. We now, under the Houston Chronicle and Forbes magazine, both say that now the U.S. shale cartel, not OPEC, now control the price of oil in the world. So we're about to move back to a place where we're energy secure, that we have the ability in the state of Texas to literally control the price of oil worldwide. We've discovered enough oil that we are now supplied enough that we can depend on nobody else in the world should they decide to cut us off. That's the first time since 1981 we've been energy secure. And we don't need to let that go to pot by having an administration or an EPA in Washington tell us we have to cut back on our production. We have to not produce or drill for oil. And that's exactly what Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton have said. He said in his State of the Union, we need, as we stop the tyranny of fascism and as we stop this tyranny of communism, we need to stop the tyranny of oil. That is a threat to one-third of the jobs in this state.
Visiting with Wayne Christian, Republican candidate, of course, for railroad commissioner, and has the endorsement of Greg Abbott, the governor. And you've heard the governor's commercials here on KFYO saying to vote up and down for the Republicans as they fight against Washington, D.C. And, Wayne, I think you're bringing in the same kind of message, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We're under attack from Washington. It's the biggest enemy we have against our way of life. And we have been distorted by the academic elitists and by the national media, trying to say how dirty and terrible and how we need more windmills and more solar panels. And God bless them if they can produce. That's what we want. But for right now, we're dependent on oil, gas, and coal for all of the energy we have, and that's what makes us a cleaner, better. The air is cleaner, the water is cleaner, the land is better conditioned because of oil, gas, and coal. And that is totally a distortion of the truth when academic media say that oil and gas and coal pollute the world. We don't. We clean. Every industrialized country on the planet is cleaner than non-industrialized countries.
Early voting continues this week. Election day just a few days away. Now, Wayne, I want to ask you something that has really nothing to do, well, it may have something to do with your race, but I want you to analyze this a little bit. We've seen record turnout across the state of Texas. What do you attribute that to?
I think people are fed up with both parties. I think we're tired of the establishment of Washington doing nothing. I think we're tired of politicians that promise one thing and then perform another when they get to the elected positions. And I think people are ready for a change. They've seen our military is under threat, less than World War II capacity. We see ourselves being attacked from overseas, and administration's not standing for us. We see our health insurance going to pot and premiums going up and not as good of health care available. Just go down the list. But, of course, concentrating on oil, gas, and coal, we have the opportunity again to become independent of the rest of the world as far as our security, and we're about to pass that by, and people, I think, recognize that, and they need to stand up for America again.
All right, Wayne Christian, you can view his website, by the way, christianfortexas.com, still one of the best campaign logos out there. Wayne, appreciate your time. Good luck on November 8th, and I'm sure we'll talk afterwards.
Hey, thank you, Chad. Look forward to it.
Have a good one. That's Wayne Christian, candidate for railroad commissioner. Good guy, running for railroad commissioner, and I think he's, even though you hear the liberty, it's a fascinating race that I think would be getting a little bit more press if it weren't for, obviously, the presidential race. But the top two people in that race, one a libertarian and Wayne Christian, Republican, conservative Republican. And, again, the libertarian in that race has gotten just about all of his funding from the mayor of Austin, which, he's not that. I wouldn't think of the mayor of Austin as a libertarian. Maybe it's just me. But I wouldn't think of him in that way. So, Wayne Christian, appreciate him coming on the show.